but you'll see that more and more people will be able to become independent with their own initiatives by being self-employed and by it's no longer working for big conglomerates and being so dependent on the system. We'll see this so much in the next 5 to 15 years. So all fine arts and music industry, new beginning for the music industry, new genres. This time I'm certain over the next 14 years we'll see that. And those will align with collective principles. They won't be like money, sex, yo, whatever. So I expect within the next 14 years, something similar like a renaissance, like a new beginning, which is Aries, into the spirituality of humans together. So watch around the world. Saturn is the manifested, the material, the tangible, what you can touch, what you can see. Neptune is the miraculous, the divine. So what we call miracles can manifest in material way. For example, Fatima. But yeah, Neptune will also start dissolving and changing the army, because Neptune in Aries is that. And the army and warfare won't be led in the same way till now. It will be some kind of a vicarious way, because Neptune means like a ghostwriters, or it's like a computer game war. When Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are involved, forces beyond our awareness. Forces, we call them divine forces. We call them the forces of the hierarchies, which take care of humanity. They get activated to help humanity. Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from astrolada.com. And today we're talking about Neptune in Aries. We are at the threshold of one of the most spectacular times. This has not happened in our lifetime. Neptune has never been in Aries in our lifetime. The last time it was there was 147 years ago. Plus, there will be this incredible alignment of all the three outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, in a harmonious astrological configuration, which is trine between Uranus and Pluto and sextile between Uranus with Neptune. And Neptune is at the peak of this formation. Neptune is the leading planet. The moment it enters Aries and it's already in action, you're already feeling it, they're very close to this configuration. Those epochal changes will start happening. And definitely the time will speed up. These are all masculine and very active signs: Gemini, Aries, Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini. But we want to talk specifically about Neptune in Aries and its aspect that we'll make in the next 5-6 years from there. And they're only positive aspects. So we will refer a bit back to history to see what happened in the past. But now keep in mind that this will be in a more positive light. This will have a very silver lining for humanity. When Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are involved, forces beyond our awareness, forces, we call them divine forces, we call them the forces of the hierarchies, which take care of humanity. They get activated to help humanity when there is a harmonious configuration. Actually, in recorded history, we haven't had a harmonious configuration between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto that will hold for the next 5 years. So maybe 2,000-3,000 years ago, there was, but exactly precise like this. And maybe it was in different signs. A wonderful astrologer, I know, she checked the last time they were all in those signs but they never formed the perfect bi-sextile like now. Where bi-sextile is a protective form, the form of a roof of a house, or like an angel guarding over you. So the forces that define the future of humanity, which, as far as we think we have free will, there are forces called angelic hierarchies, cherubims, seraphims, angels, archangels, that are more advanced. Some call them metis, whatever. They're just ones that have reached, that they have created us through their substance, and they have reached much higher levels of consciousness. They're involved in humanity's history and in the big cycles. All those three principles that are represented, the angelic hierarchies, are through Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Since I have also studied esoteric astrology, There, the masters and the adepts have told us that Neptune represents divine love. Uranus represents divine wisdom and all the beings that work for that impulse. And Pluto represents divine will. So we have divine love, wisdom, and will in a harmonious configuration, with the peak being the manifestation of divine love, Neptune, in Aries. That will be divine love in action that we'll see not just from 2025 now, but till 2039, while Neptune will be in Aries for those 14 years ahead. Aries is a sign of action. Neptune is divine love. And sometimes divine love can be very painful when it's in action, but this time there's so much help from Pluto, from Uranus. Somehow in our hearts, those principles of will, wisdom, and knowledge, which is Uranus is very of the mind, Pluto is very much of the will and the actions, Neptune is very much of the heart. There will be this coherence and synchronization of divine wisdom, knowledge, and which will be the sciences, divine will, which are the power structures in the world as well, and divine love. And all of this divine love will stream down its influences into the other spheres, like knowledge of Uranus in Gemini, like social restructure in Pluto in Aquarius. There'll be a lot of inspiration, a lot of possibility for growth, for personal healing. Here, I will talk mostly about the world, but I will mention things that can happen on a personal level as well. But if you'd like to know specifically how Neptune in Aries is going to impact you, for example, Neptune transiting squaring your sun, Neptune transiting your fifth house, Neptune square your natal Neptune, Neptune conjunction your Mercury in the eighth house. I have created a 5-hour video about Neptune in Aries, which speaks about each possible aspect and transit of Neptune to personal planets, or Neptune sextile your Venus, and also a table which year exactly it will manifest, how it will manifest. I go through it explaining personal story, giving examples of people I've watched for over 20 years, how Neptune transit manifested for them. And I've made it video 5 hours plus written, over 60 pages written. For example, Neptune transit in your second house, but what if it comes, and I also give interpretation if Neptune in your natal chart comes from the 11th house, but it's transit in your second house. How is that going to manifest? So it's very personalized. It's like a personal reading with personal stories, with many examples. And it's only $20 for 5 hours of videos and for 50, 60 pages of text that I have written for you. But now coming back to Neptune in Aries, it starts from 2025, from the end of March, stays in 2025 for 6 months, and then dips out for a few months, and in 2026 it goes full in till 2039. And we'll see this divine love in action manifesting for us. And Neptune is very hard to describe many times because Neptune rules dreams, the subconscious. How can you explain to someone a dream? How can you explain to someone your feelings if you're deeply in love with someone as well? Yeah, they can understand it with their mind, but they'll never feel what you feel. So it's like trying to tell you what's going to happen for such an ephemeral, intangible planet that rules such intangible principles like love and compassion. But we'll do our best. And starting with the more positive things. Of course, Neptune represents faith, belief that is heart-based, represents spirituality as well, religion, spirituality, Christianity, Buddhism, all of such. It's the high vibration, all of the religions that teach love first. And Neptune entering the 0 degrees from the end of March and the spring of the first sign of the zodiac, 0 degrees. It's not just Neptune changing a sign, Neptune starting a new 147-year cycle, because that's the beginning. That's the beginning of the world axis, the first day of spring, the first day of Aries, the first degree of Aries. And this is huge. Such powerful new spiritual principles. I won't be surprised that sometime over the next 14 years, like the religions and the belief systems are united in some way. I'm not talking one world religion, but maybe the seeds of it in somehow the peace between religions to happen, or a new directions in spirituality and religions. Because when Neptune was in Aries in the 18th century, sorry, in the 18th century last time, or 19th century it is, 19th. This is when Spiritism appeared. Till then, it was very regimented religions that existed. I mean, with rules, with ceremonies, the established major religions. For the first time, at least in our remembered history, people discovered more mystical manifestation of spirituality on a massive level. So Spiritism appeared. Movements like Theosophy appeared, which is the esoteric, the deep spiritual meaning of not just the myths and whatever, but the deep spiritual meaning of religions, of beliefs. So I expect within the next 14 years, something similar like a renaissance, like a new beginning, which is Aries, into the spirituality of humans. And when Neptune Neptune will be with Saturn there, and I've lost my Saturn. I can't find it where it is, but let's imagine that this is Saturn. When Neptune and Saturn were together, again, I've noticed that magical manifestations happen because Saturn and they're together for the next 2-3 years, and they're already very close together. So watch around the world. Saturn is the manifested, the material, the tangible, what you can touch, what you can see. Neptune is the miraculous, the divine. So what we call miracles can manifest in material way. For example, Fatima, the miracle of Fatima, where everyone saw the sun moving and 30,000 people, and the children were given prophecies for the future. You can see now around the world for the next 2-3 years, maybe icons flying or other such kind of miraculous divine manifestations. Watch for this, because this is a sign of the new spiritual impulse. Neptune is spiritual, Aries is new impulse that is coming to us. So very, very magical, let's say. New spiritual frontiers, pioneering spirituality will appear. And I mean, even in the last 14 years while Neptune was in Pisces. Pisces is very spiritual sign with Neptune. I mean, I could not talk about those topics 10, 15 years ago. Now everyone knows about past lives. Everyone knows about spiritual matters. Everyone knows about life after death, near-death experiences. Neptune through Pisces allowed that. It prepared the soil, as we call, of our spirit for this new manifestation of divine love that will come to us, and divine love in action. Not just for now, for 14 years, we're more like by osmosis, absorbing all those trends, all those healers, teachers that came during Neptune in Pisces. People open up to the invisible world, to meditations, to mantras, to channelings, everyone, some of the most watched videos on YouTube are channelings and such kind of Neptunian topics, life after death. But it was more passive. Now Neptune in Aries, it will be put into action. The spiritual foundation that we've prepared, it will be called somehow into the world to use it in active ways to help the world, to change the world. So let's see how it's got a way more masculine external manifestation of Neptune rather than the more internal one, where we were like, okay, you hear a few times about past lives, about spirituality, and you start kind of believing it more and more. That's Neptune in Pisces. But Neptune in Aries, now it's in action, actively manifesting externally. Another thing, Neptune in Aries, if we look back, when Neptune was last in Aries, was not only new spirituality arising in people. Back then it was spiritism, tables shaking, people from the dead talking, whatever. It was the abolishment of slavery. But that happened through a war, because Aries is a warlike sign. Aries is war. Saturn is also there to enhance this. Maybe it might not be physical war like it was back then, maybe more of a spiritual war. But somehow even if they're wars, they'll be on ideological basis, because Neptune is very about ideals, about helping humanity, about uh, manifesting God's divine love. And back 150 years ago, people went into war to abolish slavery. Neptune was in Aries, and by the way, Uranus was in Gemini when the Civil War in America happened. But the result was positive, because one of the worst things, I mean, there's still slavery, but it's illegal now, but at least it stopped being legal. Also, when Neptune was in Aries 150 years ago, something like that, the Red Cross was established. Again, humanitarian, charitable organizations. Now it's probably very compromised by now, but the initial impulse was extremely, everything gets, with time, gets adulterated. But now again, such spiritual impulses, compassion and love into action, like the Red Cross used to be. The first trade unions were established when Neptune was in Aries, again, helping those in need, the underdog, in action. Till then, humans didn't have rights. You work 7 days per week, you'll be 6 years old, you'll be working 12 hours per day or else. The trade unions started to change that. And very humanitarian, compassion and love in action. But it involves a degree of rebellion, a degree of standing up for oneself, the Aries qualities of bravery. And we'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of big positive reforms in areas of life for the victimized, for social reforms, such initiative, and for the underdogs, for the underclasses, for the working people, because Neptune takes care of exactly, Neptune rules the victimized, also refugees, people without rights, the slaves. Nowadays, modern slaves are workers without rights, or, modern slavery, any kind of people that are in lesser state than another. These are the, from God's perspective, the little children that can't take care of themselves, or the sick people, the marginalized. This is what Neptune represents in the physical, while Aries is new impulse and action to help those people. So you'll see such initiatives sometime over the next 14 years, especially the next 4 or 5 years, when there'll be so much resources towards Neptune from Uranus, technological innovation, Pluto, structural changes in society and in the ruling classes coming from Aquarius. There is also this energy that comes, call for independence. Aries is an extremely independent sign. So is Aquarius and Gemini, where the other outer planets are. But you'll see that more and more people will be able to become independent with their own initiatives by being self-employed, and by it's no longer working for big conglomerates and being so dependent on the system. We'll see this so much in the next 5 to 15 years. And people who have an ideal or a vision, which is again a manifestation of Neptune, our dreams, our ideals, they'll take action to manifest it, to become, and they'll get a lot of resources through AI. Uranus and Pluto in Aquarius is AI. Uranus in Gemini, it's also AI. Doesn't have to be just AI. Through knowledge, through easy access to knowledge. Uranus, remember, is divine wisdom. In Gemini, it will become extremely accessible to people. If you want to learn something, even to be like an engineer and a robot maker, or you'll be able to learn it from home, or to learn it for 1/50th of the price it used to be. All such access to knowledge will become so accessible with Uranus and Gemini in the next 7-8 years. And Aquarius is another sign of knowledge. Pluto is there again. This will open up the doors for the next decade and more for us. So knowledge, for whoever wants to learn, for whoever is self-motivated, the Aries energy, they'll have the resources for them, and the support of community, because these are community signs, Gemini and Aquarius, local and expanded community, somehow to channel whatever knowledge they have, whatever skills, to channel it into action for independence, for entrepreneurship. Aries is entrepreneurship, startups, being independent, self-employed, working for yourself, or if you have a vision to manifest it in the world, to get it started. So again, if you have any such impulses, or even if you don't have, you might start getting them. It depends also, if you're Pisces rising, for example, you might get this desire to be independent. Aries is independence and initiative to be financially independent, because this Neptune will be in your second house. Or if you're Aquarius rising, it might be initiative or business initiative for independence in regards to your mind, or in regards to your third houses on media, through means of media, through means of skills of some sort. Or maybe if you're Capricorn rising or strong Capricorn energy, Neptune in your fourth house can give this independence in your home, to have for example, a farm stand, an ideal that you can create to be independent with your where you live, to be independent of the system in somehow, to stop renting, instead to become independent owner, that it can manifest over the next 14 years. And so on. Or Sagittarius, through your creativity, Neptune can manifest for you some mission of independence and finding your strength through your own brilliant ideas. Or Scorpio, in your work environment, to be independent. Libra, so for Libra is always a bit reverse, independent in your relationships. How does that work exactly? But to make initiative with a partner, in a partnership in some way, that is liberating, that is strengthening as well, and so on. I'm not going to go through the 12 signs, but you get the point how Neptune in Aries is about realizing an ideal through your own actions that will free you and make you independent or successful in some way. Another way, so you fight for your dreams with Neptune in Aries, depending where it's in your horoscope. That's if you take the course that I have, you'll find out exactly where it's going to affect you. You don't need to know any astrology. I explained to you exactly how to find where Neptune will be transiting in your horoscope. Exactly like a professional astrologer will see it. And then I give you the explanation. But there is this call for independence, fighting for your dreams. For Libra, it might be fighting for their dreams about a relationship, or to creating something ideal, some safe haven together with a partner. With Virgo, it's financial again, and independence from psychological complexes and issues, from because 8th house stores that, and so on. There you'll see a lot of activism for social justice, for collective welfare. Aries is activism, active. So is Pluto in Aquarius, is very socially active. And Neptune is for the better social justice, for the collective welfare. Now, another manifestation is that we're going to have a lot of new heroes. Aries is the hero, Heracle, the, Hercules, the archetypal hero savior. Well, we're going to have such archetypal savior images appear for us. Some of the world already are feeling that. They're thinking someone is saving them. But these new heroes. Why is that? Because I look, when Neptune was in Aries in hundreds of years ago, for example, I went back very far ahead, when King Alfred, who united Great Britain, was King Neptune was in Aries. And this is a romanticized hero. Also, Robin Hood, all the myths, so if he was real, he also was living and was this myths, and started when Neptune was in Aries. Again, the savior who saves the poor. But we'll see real life such people. Of course, some might use it to present themselves as saviors. So we have to always use discrimination with Neptune, even though I think it will be much easier to suss out the truth, who is out for their own personal interest now in the next 14 years, or who is doing it truly for the collective upgradement, because the planet of intuition, Uranus, is very intuitive. It's like inner knowing, and Pluto is also very intuitive, and Pluto can smell a rat. It's the planet of Scorpio. If something is off, Pluto smells it, and it's going to Neptune. And Uranus is like just knowing, like a lightning, It's also aspecting in a positive way Neptune. So those who are more intuitive and aligned internally to truth, wisdom, to the good virtues, they would feel if those heroes are fake or if those heroes are truthful, and if they're real or no. So I mean, if your own internal clock is not aligned to the higher vibrations, you can still get misled by Neptune in Aries, by fake heroes, fake saviors, but they truly will be such figures that appear, because the archetypal hero takes central role here and is protecting and helping others. But humans, generally the collective, the larger groups of people, because Aquarius and Gemini rule society, and the larger mass groups of people will recognize the normal people. They're more aligned, by the way, to the right virtues, to the right, they're the salt of the earth people, as you call them. They're more with their feet down. They're kind, good people that without without distortions too much from to advanced civilization, in a sense that closer, the more normal people, they'll figure it out. You know, these are the normal people. Uranus, Pluto, these are collective energies of all the people. They'll know instinctively who are the right heroes to follow. Who will fight for some ideal, you know? But there are heroes that can mislead other big batches of population that take them down, a more warlike, that distorts the principles of love, of, you know, so we have to watch out for those, even though, again, there is a lot of positive transits and aspects that are hopefully helping in this. Both creators of art and media as well, I see, because Neptune is media, to spin fantasy, it's photography, it's the film industry, it's the music industry, every fine art, painters, photographers, they have Neptune, because Neptune affects the soul directly, the heart, and what is artful to affect the soul and the heart. So all fine arts and music industry, new beginning for the music industry, new genres. This time, I'm certain, over the next 14 years, we'll see that. And those will align with collective principles. They won't be like money, money, sex, yo, whatever. I mean, I love rap, don't get me wrong. My husband just loves rap. But the message will be idealistical. The message will be about human, because of the Uranus, divine wisdom, Pluto, divine transformation it will hit at the right chords for inspiration for others, for the right principles of morality, for the right values, let's say. So expect that even music and fine art will align to the higher principles of love, wisdom, and truth that Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune are. You know, because there's big transformations happening in society through Pluto and Uranus and Gemini and Aquarius over the next 10, 14, 15 years, you know. This will directly reflect, as they culminate in Neptune, in the art that is being created in a positive way. Then, what have I written? Media, music, art, they will challenge convention. Aries, very new energy. It's not going to be like before, and it's not going to repeat or do things that these arts that we've known till now. It will do it differently. New spiritual and political ideologies, I mentioned that, and movements, definitely. Old systems, and now we're going to add Neptune to Saturn over the next 2-3 years. We're feeling it already. Neptune and Saturn are together. Sorry, this is Jupiter. I don't know where my kids have put it. They always lose some of my planets. But that's very symbolic what happened. Neptune conjunct Saturn, because Neptune dissolves Saturn, makes it invisible, or dissolves and what is Saturn? Is the structures, the old system, the old ways of governing the people. And Saturn is those pillars of society that we've always relied on. Is it banks? Is it corporations? Is it the Federal Reserve? Is it anything that it's always been there to regulate and to control people? But that's been good for society because there's some order there. But Neptune comes and they meet at 0 degrees Aries in 2025, already in July, they almost conjoin. And then in 2026 at 0-2 degrees Aries. And then again, I think a third time. So over those 2-3 years, and we're seeing this, a lot of structures, it started already in the USA, are being disappeared. and it is chaotic. Neptune Saturn is very chaotic energies, guys, happening at the point of the new beginnings around the spring equinox point, the 0 degrees Aries. It is chaotic, it is shocking. We can feel lost and confused for some time, and Neptune disappears all things that we relied on. It might be sources of stability, material, financial, but for the next 2-3 years, there won't be that. For many people, those old sources will disappear that they always relied on. It's not an easy thing to say, but I cannot twist what the astrology is showing me. Neptune disappearing Saturn. Neptune disappearing the old traditional systems. Even the banking Saturn is one of those pillars institutions. They're not going to be the same. There will be change, but again, it's going to be, no matter how chaotic, there will be smoothness to it. Again, because of the sextile from Uranus and Pluto. People will be adapting faster to this, and they'll be very quickly not just dissolving what is the old, but there will be propositions for new systems and adjustments there to be made that very quickly are found, and they are good. Why do I say they're good? And I'm not showing political affiliation with anyone. It's just astrology symbols. Those old structures are dissolving, but the new ones are coming, those incredible new ideas, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius. They're making a sextile to the Neptune-Saturn square. So despite of the chaos and the losses that this can create of this, the losses of Saturn is security. Saturn can be our savings also. Saturn can be our old traditional values or our old anything that we've always done it the same way, and institutions and whatnot. Yes, it is painful, but at the same time, it is for good, at least till Neptune and Uranus. And they constantly holding the sextiles to Saturn Neptune conjunction. Let this be Saturn. They constantly over the next 2-3 years. So they quickly solutions, they're quickly ways to find ways around. And it's going to be non-stop, constant, bam, bam, bam. And you haven't seen anything yet. Neptune is very close to Aries, so it's already acting like Aries. Pluto is in Aquarius, you're seeing already, but when Uranus moves in Gemini in July as well, and in 2026 it comes with full force, like a steam train. You think now, like I sometimes put on TV and so many news, this is changing, at least I follow the American news. I don't know the rest of the world. Every day something is being dismantled, something new is coming. The financial system will change, and it's changing into AI and digital and whatever. So many, our societies, the cities that we live in, Uranus and Gemini, the cities will be changed. They'll be very digitized, very electronic. At the beginning, at least, it will be for good because they're making bi-sextile. After that, when they start squaring or opposing down the line 15, 20, 30 years from now, then we might see a different, the underbelly of those changes. But for now, it's for good. And for now, at least, it will be in a more harmonious way that it's happening. So you won't be left hanging, losing all security. Like, Neptune, Saturn, I describe it like the rug being pulled from under your feet. And you're in the air. And those cartoons where it's running on ground and it's, the coyote and the roadrunner, and the roadrunner is suddenly, and the coyote is not running on ground, it's in the air, but it keeps running and then it starts falling. But there quickly will be a new carpet that is put under your feet because of the help of Uranus and Pluto. So I don't want you to lose faith. And with Neptune, if you happen to be Aries, or planets in Aries, Libra, or planets in Libra, Cancer, or planets in Cancer, or Pluto, planets in Pluto, Capricorn, Neptune, you'll feel this collective changes that are happening. They will affect you the strongest. You might feel that the carpet is being pulled under your feet the most. But at the same time, if you have faith, and if you hang on to the Neptunian high principles of trust in the providence, it's like being in a boat without any sails, and you're in the currents, and you can't do anything about it. You just trust in it. Instead of going into despair, trust the current will take you to safe shore. That's the only way I can give advice if you're a strong cardinal person for the Neptune over the next 14 years. You need to have established a very philosophical world and view, even if things are dissolving from your life that you always thought were there, even if things were, and especially things that you're very attached to and codependent with, Neptune will dissolve them. But if you keep the high vibration of Neptune, it's like have faith. There is a purpose, there is a meaning. It will take you to an even better place, to a new beginning. Then you can go much smoother through that. And there'll be a lot of support from others. If you're one of the cardinal signs in particular, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, I speak specifically about each manifestation in my 5-hour video, which is only $20 with a 50, 60, or I don't know how many pages of specific interpretations so you have them written and in video, but the written ones are different from the video ones. So the video ones were inspiration. Now the written ones I've written over the years by observing people. So you have many perspectives. So yeah, with Neptune, and if you want to benefit and tapping into this incredible, nothing like we've seen, outpouring of divine blessing over the next 3-4 years, 5 years, you just best to keep the principles of those 3 planets active in your life: compassion to others, forgiveness, faith, strong faith, no matter if you're feeling lost, that you get out of this fog and that it's taken to the right shore. And Uranus, of course, is truth. Be truthful, don't tell lies. That's important for Neptune. And Pluto is using your will for good deeds. If you're basically a decent human being, try not to tell white lies and to have faith. This bi-sextile over the next 5 years, depending where it falls in your horoscope, this will give you probably like a golden age to create something, to manifest God's kingdom on earth. Because that's what Neptune is doing. Neptune in Aries, God's kingdom is Neptune in action on earth. So you manifest some great ideals, some great goal of your soul. It's a soul goal. It's not just your own personal selfish goals. It's something that will give you so much more joy and meaning, and not just to you, but to multiple people around you. If you're just keeping to those simple principles, truthfulness, compassion of Neptune, and good actions, good will, you're using your will in good actions in your everyday life, with your neighbors, with your family, then God will give you some mission. Here there is this, it's called dispensation, revival of divine energies that are flowing over the next 4 or 5 years through this amazing configuration in Neptune and Aries, that you'll be able to create. Aries is very creative sign, and ideas that will come to you, that will put and manifest and will free you, give you independence, but also you'll be part of God's plan of creating his kingdom on earth in some way. Because the configurations of the planets usually are not, usually for years are difficult rather than positive. And now we have a respite. I'm not saying there won't be difficult things. Saturn, Neptune, I have to mention some of those. And some of the Neptune-Saturn conjunctions that are negative, that we have to be aware of. Even the bi-sextiles, the Uranus-Pluto can mitigate that, make it a bit less. But still, what is Aries? War, Neptune, bioweapons. Neptune rules chemicals, anything that they can put to use some bioweapons, chemical weapons, or weaponized viruses. Neptune-Saturn is pandemics. It's actually the Spanish pandemic, flu pandemic. That was then. It was actually it was a pneumonia. It was bacterial. It wasn't exactly actually a virus. Happened during Neptune-Saturn conjunction. And this is possible, but they didn't have then the Uranus-Pluto sextile. So maybe even if it will be manipulated, but even if it's manipulated, somehow divine forces, very quick access to information, to the news, we will quickly be able to orient ourselves, but I don't exclude it as a possibility. But somehow God is mitigating this, especially if you have the right piece of information and whatever, that you can pass through it to find the right protection and so on. This is one thing that I have to mention. Another negative thing, Saturn Neptune conjunction, is natural disasters that can happen because Neptune rules the forces of the ocean, and the ocean controls all the climate. And natural climate disasters, man-made disasters, Saturn Neptune is there, but again, so much, like almost like even if a natural disaster happens, especially over the next 2 years now, Saturn Neptune is the next 2 years in Aries. If some big natural disasters, and Neptune can be connected with oceans, with water, and it's in Aries with fires. Ooh. So with drafts, waters, fires. If this happens, again, the collective organizes themselves, Gemini, Aquarius, and the news and information reaches in people. You'd see incredible manifestation of compassion and helping in action. Neptune, compassion, doing charitable actions quickly to help for those people going through such things, like almost like the whole society, because Gemini and Aquarius rules the society, and Uranus and Pluto there mobilizes themselves to help if such a disaster happens, the Neptune-Saturn combination here, and to show in action God's divine love. So there's this unification maybe through a possible disaster as well sometimes. But it's a new beginning because the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is happening at 0 degrees Aries, the early degrees of Aries. This is like cleansing of karma. Saturn is karma, Neptune is cleansing through water, or Aries through fire. So we're starting to see such things happening already. Another thing can happen, clashes with Saturn and Neptune between religion and science. Saturn is science, Neptune is religions and faith. Wars based on religious or ideological basis. For example, the Crusades were in full swing during Neptune in Aries in the 13th century. Neptune in Aries, spiritual wars, crusades. Now we have Christianity, Muslim, I don't know, or some propaganda wars there going on. Again, there'll be a lot of light on these things that are happening, and inability to manipulate the information because of Uranus, Pluto sextiles to Neptune, Saturn. And it's going to be for good, even if it's allowed to happen. If it's based on religious, ideological beliefs, these wars that are happening, there'll be somehow, eventually, the silver lining will be that something good will come out of this. Saturn, Neptune sometimes can be, because Saturn is control, banning, control, regulation. Neptune is of religions, ideologies, or when communism came in 1970 in Russia, they destroyed and they killed all the monks and all the priests and destroyed the churches. Neptune is manifestation of churches' belief, and Saturn can have this influence as well of, suppressing somehow religions, or maybe putting some rules and regulations about people from different religions living together so they can coexist better. That would be the best manifestation, and I'm hoping towards it, because only good aspects to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, that there'll be some rules, that one can't say Sharia, Khalifat, and the other one can't say either you will do so some kind of rules in regards to that. Yes, but this element of loss and grief and confusion on a massive scale is there, like an energy, like a collective tragedy of some sort, but really mitigated of Uranus, of the Pluto-Uranus bi-sextile. Either it will be hopefully on a smaller scale, or it will have a very connecting and uplifting influence for the rest of the humanity. Neptune will also start dissolving and changing the army, because Neptune in Aries is that. And the army and warfare won't be led in the same way till now. It will be some kind of a vicarious way, because Neptune means like a ghost writers, or it's like a computer game war. It's not physically being there, because Neptune is augmented reality, digital, So maybe like people will do war through just drones or through different machines, rather than directly in combat. I mean, that will also still be there, but we're seeing this for the next 14 years, really changing how the army operates, which is Aries, all the armies. The masculine roles as heavy industries. Neptune through Aries will start dissolving and making uncertain the heavy industries of any place, or making them really dissolving the old way they were done. Maybe humans won't be needed as much in those heavy industries, which is Aries and Neptune dissolve something there. But Neptune will be making an opposition to square to Cancer, to Capricorn. So it will be an uncertain time for 14 years for all political structures overall. It will be dissolving also for the lands and territories of places. It's Cancer, the land and territories. It will be fluid. Neptune is fluid energy. They'll be shifting these borders are here, these borders are here. And of course, Neptune Libra Neptune will be opposing it. Collectively, this is the alliances formed between countries. They'll be fluid. They promise will be, but then they dissolve. A lot of alliances will dissolve and new ones will be done. Some will be misleading and they won't last long, and so on. Others will be on ideological basis. Now I want to share a little bit, just to go quickly through my presentation that I've done. So we talked about Saturn and Neptune here. But I want to talk a little bit very quickly about Neptune opening sextile to Pluto. And I hope you see me as well. Neptune opening sextile to Pluto. Here it is. You can take a picture of this because I'll stop it now so you can see me. I'm not sure if this I show in this. And you can see that Neptune and Pluto already had this sextile from 1950 to 1956, and from 1976 to 1986. Many people born in those years, they have Pluto-Neptune sextile, and they're from the same cycle. And actually, this sextile is repeating 3 times, and the last time is from 2026 to 2032. So the Neptune-Pluto cycle is 500 years. Actually, Neptune-Pluto cycle, when they start, they meet together once every 500 years. The last time they met was in 1890. 120 years ago. Neptune, Pluto, they define the biggest chunks of history. Here we're working with archives, the hierarchies that define the history of humanity. They move whole civilizations, and you'll see civilizations usually work in 500-year period cycles. Sometimes they'll have 2 cycles, like 1,000-year empire, but most times it's 500 or 1,500. So big historical cycles change every 500 years. And our big new historical cycle started in 1890, 30 years ago, 135 years ago. So, and then we have another 400 or 900 and whatever, 70 years of this. And they just started the opening square. So we see that actually starting here in Gemini, this sextile that's forming now will help to fulfill whatever Gemini wants to do for the next 400 years. And that's like to create the world a global village. I can't see it in any other way, because this is Gemini, global village. And for 400 years, so everyone can access everything everywhere. You can go anywhere, wherever you want. Within the next 400 years, till this cycle, I'm sure we'll be teleporting from point to point. There will be no boundaries. Everyone will be speaking the same language in some way, because Gemini is languages. So the reverse process of what happened, the symbolic representation in the Bible of the Tower of Babylon, where people, they were trying to build this tower to show God they're just as great and they can reach up to heaven. This is, of course, allegorical manifestation, allegorical representation of what's happening, really. What was happening, it was that humans had a universal language thousands of years ago, and that was telepathic. And they lost this ability, and they each one started talking in different languages. And that's where the disconnection happened. But actually, Neptune Pluto started the first time they joined together in Gemini was not this cycle, but the last cycle in it was the year 1390, 500 years before 1890. So the year 1390, they joined in Gemini for the first time in Gemini. Before that, for thousands of years, for 2000s of years, they were joining in Taurus. So you see in huge cycles we're moving. So what happened during that time when Neptune and Pluto joined? Those 500 years, America was discovered, all the lost land was discovered. We discovered traveling, flying, all of those things, and we started having no barriers anymore. And actually, going back to the sextile, because now is the opening sextile, we're going to turn into a global village, and we're going to, what will happen over the next 500 years, because we're in the new Gemini cycle, will be dissolving of those barriers. First, it will be through technology that we can talk each other's language. The more and more we continue in the next 400 years, and there'll be another Gemini, Pluto in Neptune, another 1,000 years of Pluto in Neptune conjuncting in Gemini. So within, let's say, another 1,000 years, by that time, we'll become telepathic, we'll become this big village community again, and we'll be able to go anywhere we want. There won't be borders. And the first opening sextile of Neptune and Pluto over the last 100 years has been going on almost. It's helping for this again. It's helping to that direction. So we're going to see is the last sextile, the opening. So what happened in the last opening sextile between Neptune and Pluto? That started, the cycle started in the 14th century, but the opening sextile was in the 15th century, between 1495 and 1575. So that was the invention of the printing press. Again, it serves Gemini, where the conjunction happened. That was the Renaissance beginning. That was the Michelangelo da Vinci era as well. Some of the best artists were working. They started the Renaissance. The Magellan's World Tour. He proved that the world can be circumnavigated in a circle, that the world is a globe or whatever. But the world was your oyster then. For the first time, you could go over around the whole world. Expansion of colonies happened. New lands were discovered. Wow, such the printing press, whatever, all of those things contributed to us, to the barriers between humanity going away, because Gemini is twins. They're like that. We need to become like brotherhood around the world. This is the high manifestation of Gemini. We have 400 years and another 1,000-year cycle of Gemini conjunctions here. No, we have 700 and something years. 700 and something years of Neptune, Pluto, one more cycle, I think it has in Gemini. So we have like 1,000 years to create this human brotherhood, and now we'll contribute a lot. And what's been happening in the opening square between Neptune and Pluto for the last, and they've been sextiling in different signs, catching up, like that all the time. They're pretty much all holding up. Now it's in Aries and Aquarius. But since the opening square, which continues for almost 80 years, what did we have? The TV, the radio, the phones, the cinema, the internet, air travel, smartphones, computers, Wi-Fi, new means of information and communication, traveling, AI. I mean, more and more telepathic abilities. That's what I'm seeing as well. New technologies to communicate with the invisible worlds as well, and new ways to connect with each other. But Neptune-Pluto sextile is the alignment of the higher love impulses of Neptune with the will of the people. Pluto is divine will, actually, and God will work through people to do active things through humans to manifest his love. And Pluto also rules the dense substances of the earth. This can be all minerals as well that have value to us that come from the underground, but this is also the Pluto rules the unrefined on the low vibration side of humanity, the lower passions, the animal-like desires, the greed, the all of those reptilian brain activities. So now we're going to have Neptune harmonizing, Neptune, the impulse of love, of higher love, starting to harmonize the dense substance of the earth and the soul. So this rough diamond that Pluto is, Neptune will harmonize it through love, forgiveness, and acceptance that ennoble and dissolve the lower impulses. Pluto also rules the generational trauma we have, whether it's from your family generational trauma, past life generational trauma, collective trauma. Neptune will, huge opportunity till 2032 while they're still so the last sextile is happening from 2025, this year, till 2032, and especially around 0 to 14 degrees Aries and Aquarius. So people in the first 15 degrees of most of the signs will, if they have planets, they will benefit the most to dissolve some generational trauma with ease, to let it go, to forgive, to ennoble some low animalistic impulses and obsessions through, again, the dispensation of divine love, to align their soul's desires, their soul to their desires, what they want to do, their will with their higher love, with their heart. So this is kind of harmonizing will and love, will and heart. New forms of art, again, I'm repeating, fine art, Neptune is fine art, which will uplift the lower impulses, Pluto. So instead of music making you hornier, making you want to go and fight, there is such thing. So making you want to go and take drugs or whatever, have sex randomly. Instead, the fine art that will appear now, Neptune, will harmonize the lower impulses, Pluto, of humans. Past life traumas being healed with ease. We have a 5-6 year window, so much healing. I'm speaking like a priest now. I might be one of those shows, Last Days, Prophets. Powerful healing opportunities, guys. Activations of chakras and psychic perceptions is Neptune. And Pluto is the chakras. Pluto rules all the openings in the body, just like Scorpio does. Whether it's your anus or whether it's your 7 chakras, because they're energetic portals and openings, vortexes of power to where energy comes and goes. That's why Pluto rules the chakras. Well, Neptune, there will be an inflow of love through those chakras, inflow of healing of the chakras and blockages there, because Neptune is like water washing away the blockages. What happens then? Psychic perceptions, miracle happenings, miracle healings, miracle alignment of our heart with our willpower. So, beautiful. Let's see what the Neptune sextile. We did the Neptune Pluto. This is very 500-year cycle. And I told you the ultimate goal is that we're all brotherhood connected. And you can only be brotherhood when you're telepathically connected to people. And you can read their minds. And this is what will happen over the next 1,000 years for society, humanity. We're heading there. But first, the borders, like countries, like things, they'll have to go away. But we still have, long time of this. Now already the internet is helping us remove borders. Now we're gonna, and of course, a little bit Neptune alignment of spiritual vision with deeper transformative change, greater collective healing and awareness of shared goals comes as well. Environmental, Neptune is the environment, and Pluto is again the underground forces, environmental, spiritual, and humanitarian ideals, reshaping political and power structures. Pluto is the political and power structures. That environmental, spiritual concerns will be important there. Renaissance, again, this topic comes, Renaissance in art, music, spirituality, because Pluto is transformative when it touches Neptune. Neptune will dissolve in a positive way the powers or the boundaries of hidden power structures. Because Neptune dissolves boundaries, and Pluto on a low vibration is the mafia, the Federal Reserve, anything that is like, it's like a mafia organization, those hidden power structures for control. You know, Neptune will dissolve that and is doing it, and will bring hidden truths, Pluto, to the surface. And spiritual renewal, Neptune, spiritual Pluto renewal is the most obvious of those things. Like, you know, when they say Christians, oh, lots of people will start believing whatever, because they'll have, and they are having, and they'll keep having this 5-6 years ahead, direct experiences of the divine. Now, I want to share the opening Neptune sextile Uranus trine. Let me share it. You see my notes here. It's for the opening sextile between Uranus in Aries and Gemini and Neptune in Aries will be till from this year 2025 till 2029. The conjunction between Uranus and Pluto and Neptune started in 1993 in Capricorn. So this one will be reshaping governmental structures in a positive way because it's a sextile. And it will do some good for government structures and institutions and to, in a positive way, in a sense, to make them better. It's a 170-year duration, and we're only 30 years into it. So this is the opening sextile. The first sextile of the cycle. You see, it's much shorter than the sextile between Neptune and Pluto, which carries on 3 times over 80 years. This is a harmonious. So what is Uranus? The principle of higher wisdom, knowledge, and higher love. So wisdom and love. This is beautiful principle in action that we'll see. The aspect shows genius and gifts abilities. So there will be genius children being born now, or people that have visionary genius. They'll enter into work to help humanity will be activated. And the right perception, it's not going to be deceptive, having some, you know, having some delusional utopian ways how to fix society, how to improve things. No, this will be, because it's a sextile aspect, the Uranus Neptune is not going to be delusional geniuses, and it will be exactly right. Harmony between the fine arts and science and new ideas, between idealism and new ideas. So I see here, Uranus is science, Neptune is spirituality. Can you have a feeling? I have a feeling there might be something that science goes into the direction. Quantum physics is already in that direction. But even other sciences will follow, where they'll start to find the intangible manifested through science. And science with the heart, science, spirituality and science is starting to merge, to harmonize. Such scientists and investigators, and they don't even have to have titles and honors. It can be a normal person at home who starts, I don't know, develops a device communicating with the dead, you know, or seeing the auras of people, or seeing the vibrational changes, or seeing ghosts and seeing ghost manifestations, something like that. Think of mixing or manifestation, how our thoughts manifest, taking a picture of the thoughts so people can see that thoughts are actually things, are real things, or discovery of other dimensions, you know, merge spirituality, what we know, or life after death, which is all Neptunian things with Uranus, and science and what we call magical stuff start merging. Esoteric adepts and teachers will be incarnated or activated in their mission. Uranus and Neptune are both planets of esoteric adepts, teachers, And these will be good ones. These will be high vibrational ones, not misleading. They'll be, and if they're misleading ones, people will quickly feel from their hearts, and quickly, anyone who doesn't work with the truth, of Uranus, divine truth, with divine compassion and love of Neptune, and with divine, doing the right actions, Pluto, they will be exposed. And this is also valid for during this bi-sextile. This is also valid for teachers, spiritual teachers, and gurus. We also see that Neptune is the mind, the higher manifestation of the mind. Neptune, the higher manifestation of the soul. The soul animates the mind. This, as they talk a lot about this coherence between mind and heart. It's going to be easier to happen, to make it, if you meditate or just look at the beautiful flower and you feel this connection from the heart to the mind and the explosion of inspiration and genius. Harmonizing innovations in fine art, film. Uranus is innovations. Neptune is fine art, film, creative fields, media as well. There'll be a lot of innovations there. All right, so yeah, there you go. Very quickly, some degrees. If you want to know, these are the years when Neptune will be, what degrees it will be in. So if you have anything in Aries, in Cancer, in Capricorn, or Libra, check out. You might have your Saturn there. You might have your Pluto in one of those 4 signs. You might have your 6th house cusp, which is career, work. Or you might have your North Node there. Or you might have your Venus or Saturn. Find out the degree you have this planet and check. Say I have Saturn at 3 degrees Libra. So 2026 and 2027, I'll have Neptune hard aspect to my Saturn. Good. So yeah, and I have everything in Aries and Libra. So everything will be activated for the next 14 years. Check this out. But if you want to hear the interpretations, come and join me for my 5-hour webinar. It's recorded already. 5 hours of me. Until maybe I lose my mind when Neptune goes to Aries and won't be able to focus and record anymore. But still, I have my mind and everything together. I'm trying to give you as much as I can before Neptune dissolves my focus or puts me on La La Land and makes me create art instead of the astrology or channel. I don't know. Anything can happen with my 4 planets in Aries when Neptune comes there. So I'm trying to put as much coherent and knowledge and information there for you, just $20. So you're prepared for the next 14 years. So may you be blessed. May you be worthy with your lifestyle and your choices, and the simple lifestyle choices of not telling lies, of being helpful and kind to others and forgiving, and your actions to correspond to that as well. This is how you can be a vessel for the incredible opportunities that are coming of Neptune in Aries and Pluto sextiling and Uranus sextiling. Not only that, you can truly change the world in some way and be extremely blessed. I mean, Uranus, Neptune is divine grace. So something you didn't feel you deserve can be given to you as a mission, as a manifestation in your life through divine blessing. Thank you.